So, for instance, Godot. The team behind Godot have put together a fantastic game engine. Have they made some shortcuts? Have they taken some shortcuts? Sure. Are there some bugs that really should be fixed but just aren't? Sure. But what they've done is they've made a trade-off. They said, well, we can implement this feature and wait for it to be perfect, or we can implement it and ship it this week and still provide value to the people using our tool, regardless of a couple of bugs here and there. And they make those trade-offs, right? Okay, but like, a philosophy is just a philosophy, right? It doesn't solve real world problems. And the more real world problems you want to solve with any package, well, I mean, to going back to what I was saying before, right? I've hired a lot of people. I've led teams of developers for more than a decade, like for quite a while. And every time I come across a developer who uses the word magic to deride a piece of software or tooling, my experience has told me that those are generally the inexperienced developers. Like we were building startups using Ruby on Rails, and I know that a lot of people will say that like Rails is magic and they'll discount it. And then I was like, well, if you want to build fast, like what you always have to prioritize in a startup is time to market. And like your philosophy of like computational purity might be okay in an academic context, but in the marketplace, it doesn't get you very far, right? You're not going to get investors because you've got 500 lines of code less than your competitor. It just doesn't work that way. And so what you need to start thinking about is, regardless of the lines of code, how am I bringing value to the people who I want to be my customers? And I used to think that way like before. Like 20 years ago, I absolutely thought that way. I remember telling my teacher, I was like, why on earth is there not just a version of Windows that's black and white to save RAM? Because no one would buy it. Right? Same thing with these tools. Like, you're not going to get this purity. If you don't learn to make good trade-offs in software, you're going to fail. That's my opinion. It's never black and white. There's never a perfect solution. Okay, let's get some sound effects in here. I know. That's why people install Linux, and they spend 40 hours setting up Linux, and they realize it doesn't actually like improve their workflow. There's a couple more milliseconds here and there, and then they spend 5 hours a week configuring drivers and installing packages when people on Mac and Windows have everything provided for them. Let's call it magic, right? But all of a sudden, those engineers are more productive and they provide more value to the company. They get promoted. And then the Linux guy's like, but I'm working on like purer tools. Yeah, but it's not about purity. Well, I don't want to sound harsh, but I think you're going to have to change your mentality if you want to do really well in the tech world. Unless you want to like rebuild a tool from the ground up, right? Build your own operating system and then like sell it. Good luck to you. We need that. Let's do more of that. But if you're trying to rebuild every tool from the ground up, everything you use, you're never gonna. Oh man, are you trolling me? Sounds like I think you're trolling me. Okay. Well played. Okay, so how are we doing with our audio manager? Okay, like if it's fun for you, that's fine. Like it's fun. It's not productive. It's fun. Okay, so let's grab our audio manager script, which we don't have yet. I guess you have to ask yourself a question, right? Is your goal to provide value to the rest of society, or is it to have fun on your own? Those are two different things, two different reasons to do software. Sad realization. Most realizations aren't sad. Okay, so I guess we're going to want a ready function. I don't know why, but we'll probably want to connect some signals. And I guess we will just have a function func. Maybe yeah, okay, actually. So we can have an onReady var of collectibles. OnReady var collectibles is equal to well, it's not necessarily the problem. It's an opportunity, right? But that's the thing. Like if you think there's a wheel in our society, and it's not just in the tech world, right? But if there's a wheel that just is not working for people and needs to be reinvented, then like fucking go for it. Right? Reinvent that shit. Like there's a lot of our society and the tech world, like a lot of our tools, they just don't work very well. By all means, like reinvent that wheel. But then the tools that you use to reinvent that wheel, you're gonna have to sit on someone else's shoulders to reinvent the wheel, right? So you got to use all the other wheels that people have built, sit on their shoulders, use those tools, use that magic, but pick one wheel to reinvent. Because if you're trying to reinvent all the wheels, you'll never get anywhere. I feel like this is like started to slide into like super philosophical stuff. Not super philosophical, but are we even making games anymore? What is a game? What does it mean to make things? Answer these questions in chat, guys. I'm sure we can get there today. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to grab a reference to the collectibles node. And then what else? I might create another node for collisions. Collisions. And we can essentially grab a reference to that as well, right? And that should be clear. Collisions. So you think the world doesn't agree with the reinvention of the wheel? I don't know, man. When I was a bit younger, I definitely felt that way, right? Like, this is so shit. Like, we should be doing better. Why aren't we doing this better? I'm gonna try and fix it, and then in the process of trying to fix it, you come across all these obstacles, all these things that you didn't realize were problems when you started, and you start making trade-offs. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize we need to do this. Well, I guess the best way to solve that is to do it this way. It's not perfect, but that is the better of two evils. And then you make all these trade-offs, and then you look at the thing you just built, and you're like, oh shit, like, I just went on the same journey as this other guy, and we basically built the same thing. And we've got these imperfect... okay, I don't really understand what you're saying. We basically got these, like, imperfect products or results of our efforts. And, like, if you want to... yeah, I don't know. So we've got our collect star sound, and let's create a little like collision sound in here. Audio stream player. And I think we're not going to have any like stereo effects really, because the way that collision, we'll say environment collision sound, environment collision sound. That's life, man. That's part of the fun. You gotta, if you keep hating those unexpected problems, you're gonna find yourself hating life. Because that's what that's literally what life is about, right? If every problem ahead of you could be expected, then yeah. Well, I mean, my question, my advice to you would be like, think really hard about whether you yeah, I'm not surprised. You're seeing obstacles like enemies, right? Obstacles aren't your enemies. It's like loading up a game. Like, let's imagine you load up a Dark Souls game, and there's no enemies. Like, there's no obstacles. Like, would you want what would you do in that game? Now, do you want your life to be like that? A lot of people think they want their life to be obstacle free, but they don't. So you're going to make yourself really unhappy if you hate your obstacles. And I speak from experience, right? Like, I'm not just saying this. I'm not just pulling this out of my ass, right? Like, I used to think that way, and I'm a lot happier now that I've stopped thinking that way.